so many of your managers and your colleagues have now been through courses. Over 90% of all of the managers in this part of the world, in Europe and in Southeast Asia and Australia, have been through the courses. I've talked with a large number of them because most of them have been in my classes at the managerial level, and there's a very wide acceptance of the practices and principles. We haven't yet achieved the speed of application that I will be hoping we'll ultimately achieve. So there's some lag between what people learn and say in the classroom and what they go off and do. That wouldn't surprise you, I suppose.
No, not at all. And as a follow-up to the fact that 90% of the leaders worldwide have attended these classes, I think it's also true that of those 90%, about 2/3 or so have also been to your advanced class.
Yes.
And maybe as many as 3/4 of the colleagues in the company have attended colleague-related 4QL classes.
That's true.
That's all part of our effort to try and provide both initial education as well as some reinforcement to leaders in particular to help them refresh their awareness, their commitment, and their understanding of 4QL. And I think, like many things along this line, what we're asking people to do is change their behavior.
Yeah.
And as you well know, changing behavior takes time, takes reinforcement, takes discipline, ownership, commitment, and those kinds of things. So I'm pleased at the progress we've made. Clearly, we've got lots more growing to do.
Yes, I am too. I find that I still need to remind people that we're looking at relationships and techniques, and that it is quite futile to be using the quadrants to be defining job efficiency and defining tasks and nominating quadrants or the leader's message if there's not between the leader and those colleagues a good, open, honest, considerate relationship where people enjoy working together and want to do that as volunteers. I've always called that the spirit of 4-quadrant leadership, and the biggest progress I've seen in the years I've been coming here is in the direction of establishing and maintaining that kind of relationship. So failure to use the quadrants adequately is a little disappointing, but it doesn't dismay me greatly, because I'd prefer to see the relationships established before anybody really attempted to be expert at the other part of it.
Wilf, as you may remember, my early description of 4QL was it consisted basically of two pieces. One part was the mechanism, if you will, of going through the process of calling the quadrants. And the other was the empathy and the dimensions and working from positions of hostility or neutrality or whatever toward a position of empathy. And that the 4-quadrant portion of that was, because it was more mechanistic, easier for people to pick up on. And the other was much more amorphous and difficult to learn. Having said that, in the meantime, and since talking to you many times and talking to many other colleagues within HDS, I've come to understand that the proper implementation of calling the quadrants can only be done if there is empathy and if there is understanding in that depth of relationship between the leader and the colleague.
I've been also pleased lately to see the guiding principles that you put together after consulting with a lot of people, including me. And the trend of that is very much in harmony with what I've been advocating. So the spirit of 4-quadrant leadership, the truth, the honesty, the caring, the consideration for other people, the insistence on performance, the demand for excellence, the precision of defining the authorities, all of those are incorporated in both the words and the spirit of the guiding principles. I guess you're very pleased at the way they've come out.
I really am. As you know, we've developed the guiding principles really over a period of several years.
Yes.
And that period really coincided with our beginning of understanding of 4QL. And so it's probably no accident at all that there's a degree of correlation that there is between the guiding principles and the concepts of 4-quadrant leadership.